Hey everyone, welcome to the Spirit Essence Show with Tara Diana. I am Tara Diana. I am an empowerment medium, and I use this platform to interview and talk with different people in the spiritual community. And today I am super happy to have one of the most beautiful souls I've ever come across, intuitive medium, author of 2 books, Mike Ellis. Mike, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, I'm so pleased to be here. Yes, it's wonderful.
I'm so excited because I know you from a beautiful little store in Steveston, Richmond called Serendipity's Backyard. That's where we first met. I know your wife, Stacy, fairly well. And I was so excited when I first met you to find out that we actually shared a mentor. 𝐔𝐩𝐜𝐬𝐧𝐠 𝐄𝐬, and 𝐔𝐷𝐿 has passed over now, and she's one of the most beautiful souls that I had managed to encounter on my spiritual journey. And it was really exciting for me to know that you had worked with 𝐔𝐷𝐿 as well. And I think you worked with her much longer than I did. She was one of my first mentors, and I sat in her circle for about 2 years off and on. 𝐔𝐷𝐿 and I were so very opposite in how we worked and how we saw things, but she is the core of a lot of the work that I do and how I do it, especially platform work. And for those of you that don't know, platform work is where a medium will stand in front of an audience and provide messages from the other side. And 𝐔𝐷𝐿 was very, very well versed in this form, this modality of spiritual work. And I took a lot of cues from her in how to do it, and they've stayed with me from day one. So Mike, again, thank you so much for being here. Let's talk about your connection to 𝐔𝐷𝐿. Let's talk about that first.
Yeah, well, you're right. She was amazing. And yeah, I met 𝐔𝐷𝐿 in some strange circumstances that had cropped up. My wife at the time had lost her daughter, had passed through cancer, and she got through all of it until after the memorial, and then she started having a really tough time with it. She couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, so her doctor recommended go see the psychologist. Okay. And after she'd had a few meetings with him, he said, what are your thoughts on the afterlife? And she said, well, I believe that there's something more. And he said, I'm going to recommend you to go and see this medium in Steveston. So she came home and phoned me. We had been separated now for a few years, but we were on great terms. She phoned me and said, what do you think about this? And I thought, wow, yeah, this is awesome. To have somebody in the medical field recommend somebody, yeah, amazing. So I said, yeah, I think you should do it. So she made an appointment, went and saw, and this, of course, was 𝐔𝐷𝐿, who had the little offices there in Steveston. And she came home and said, I've got a recording. I want you to listen to it. And I listened to it, and it just blew me away at what had gone on in the session. And I knew this was something I had to do. So I made an appointment and went and saw 𝐔𝐷𝐿 and had my first session. It's about 45 minutes, and just was blown away by all the people that have come through. Family, friends, pets. She talked about some spirit guides I had. Yeah, and all of these different, what had been going on in my life and what she saw for things coming up in the future. So had the one session, it just got me hooked, and I decided to do more. And that's what my first book was about. It's about these 5 sessions I had with 𝐔𝐷𝐿 over an 11-year period. And it's everybody who came through, a lot of different, there was angels, there was archangels, there were the spirit guides, family, friends, again, what she saw happening with me, and where she saw me, what things that were going to happen in the future, which, believe it or not, all came true eventually. And she had told me a few things, and one of them was to go down, and she saw me with abilities. She said, I see you having abilities, but you have to work on those. She said, you can't really do it alone. You can, but it's going to take a lot. It's going to be a lot harder and take longer. So she said, I think you should join a workshop, and it could be with me or with anybody else. So that's something I did. I started doing workshops with Claudette over a few years, and yeah, she's just amazing. The resources and experiences she had, and the number of people that she knew, you know, in the UK and everything else. Is it just a sad, sad loss? Her great passion was teaching. She loved to teach.
She did love to teach. And, you know, I'm just going to interrupt you for a second and say this. You know, I went to all, Claudette really did, you know, shape me in a lot of ways. When I come to think of it, my mediumship is similar to hers. We're very different people, you know, but she was an outgoing, lovely person. I did her retreats, you know, she was just fun to be around. And it wasn't always, you know, I'm one of those people that just, you know, old school mediumship is just that to me. It's old school mediumship. We've all moved into different places. And I will always remember Claudette saying this to me. And you know, those that follow me have heard this before. When we used to do the work at the spiritualist churches, and Claudette would say to me, you know, do you want to consider maybe wearing one of those, you know, kind of more, you know, mainstream kind of suits? And I was like, are you seriously asking me that? She's like, well, you know. I said, no. And she laughed so hard. I said, tattoos get to be shown, piercings get to be shown. That's who I am authentically. She says, I was just checking. And that was the kind of person she was. She always wanted to kind of make sure that my perception was always based on who I was, not necessarily on what the other community people in the metaphysical world does. And spiritualism in the churches, the spiritualist churches themselves, you know, sometimes has the same flavor as you know, the Catholic and Anglican churches. You follow a certain kind of way of doing things. But no, Claudette was very, very good at bringing out the best in people. And I just want to say that.
Well, she was a great one to push you to beyond what you think you could do, because I remember one circle we were sitting in, and she said, today we're going to channel, and we're going to channel the Ascended Masters. And I thought, man, I can't do that.
I can see you having
a
secret fit.
Yeah. And she went around, and everybody, you know, most of them were more advanced than I was. I still consider myself sort of a newbie in that. And she came to me, and I basically just sat there, and she was saying, relax, you know, let it happen, just flow, just say whatever. And I just clammed right up. You know, there's that too much doubt there. And so she said, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. And we did that a few other times, you know, down the road, and I got a little better at it. But yeah, she would push you right out of your comfort zone. Was no,
yeah, which is it's the point, right? That's
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she's trying to you know, move you along and strengthen your abilities. So yeah, it was great.
So you have written 2 books. And
yes.
The first book, what was the first book called?
First book was Guided Messages from the Other Side. Right. That was the sessions with Claudette.
Now tell us about the second book and compare it to the first book for us. What about it? What is
the second book is probably because of Claudette too, because she told me one day, she said, I want you to buy a notebook, go to the dollar store, buy a notebook, go home and just start writing whatever comes to you. And I did that. And like I get up in the morning, have my coffee, and then I go in, I do a meditation every morning. I'm a great believer in meditation. I know it's not for everybody, but for me, it really works and I love it. So I did my meditation and grabbed a notebook and started writing. And then I looked at it and thought, wow, what is this? Like, I couldn't believe the words that were coming out. I thought, this doesn't sound like me. It doesn't seem like anything I would say or anything else. And actually, it was my spirit guide coming through to me, almost saying like, finally, you know, we've been trying to get your attention for so long, and here we go. So, and again, I had that doubt. I thought, well, maybe this is my subconscious or, you know, whatever. And I started doing that every morning, and then got more comfortable with it. And actually, it was my spirit guide. And I called him Philip. That name popped into my head. And I asked him one day, I said, well, are you a collection of energies, or are you one energy? And he said, we're a collection of energies coming through as one to you. And we're here for you and to help you move along. and that. So
Nice.
yeah, I had Philip for about a year and a half, and then he changed over, and I got Harold. And he came in and sort of continued on with that and started mentioning things that he saw me doing, writing and getting into the spirit art, which I had a tough time with. And then the last one, well, was Harold, and he was there to get me to finish the book. He was there solely to get me to work on the book and finish this second book.
So for our audience, Mike, let me just clarify what a spirit guide is. So for those of you that are in the metaphysical world and do this work like Mike and I do, you'll know that we work, and not every metaphysical spiritual person works with their guides or acknowledges them, but most do. And our guides are beings that have chosen to work with us. Most of them, we have an inner and an outer circle, so an intimate circle and an outer circle of them. And they work with us in different frequencies. You know, some of my mediumistic guide has stayed with me from the moment that I recognized him. He's never changed. My healing guide, the one that helps me channel the energy from spirit through to other people. And again, I use the word healing with great respect. I am not healing. I am an energy worker. But that has changed, and changed detrimentally, like in a huge way. But that is what a spirit guide is. It is a being that has chosen to work with us, to be able to provide us with what we need to move into a different direction. Why us? It doesn't matter. They just feel connected. They resonate. So Harold that he's talking about, Philip that he's talking about, these are guides that have come through with purpose to engage with Mike to help him move along on his spiritual journey. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, and it's just actually last week, you were talking about your spirit guide that's always been with you, and that I just really met mine last week. And I don't know why I had never thought of this before, but actually the spirit guide I'm working with most of the time right now is named Serena. And she's helping to also move me forward to the point where I can really hear spirit. But anyway, I asked her, I said, well, I have these guides that come in every once in a while that are helping with certain things, but what about my main guide? You know, the one that's always there, the one that I'm gonna eventually, hopefully be working with. And she said, yeah, he's here. His name's Abraham. And I said, well, I want to talk to him tomorrow. And so that day I got into the writing and I said, are you there? And he said, yeah, finally, yeah, I'm here. And he said, I've been with you from the beginning. Like when we were planning this incarnation of yours, I was there then, and I've been with you the whole way through. And now it's time for you and I to really start working together, because I've been trying to hear spirit or see spirit for quite a while. And I've always been told, well, it'll happen when it's meant to happen. And I feel like maybe I'm getting close. So I'm
going to say something to you, gorgeous. Maybe I'm getting close. What you're really saying, what you are truthfully and honestly saying, is that you're ready to give up your human expectation of how this is supposed to go, and you're just going to allow it to happen. And that is a blessing, and it's about time. And I'm right there with your spirit guide, Abraham. And I think that there are more spirit guides named Abraham than there are any other name, because I also work with a different dimensional being by the name of Abraham. And I think it's hilarious that name just resonates with everyone, because remember, spirit guides more likely than not don't give us their real names, right? They give us what we're going to resonate with, how we're going to be able to work with them easily. You know, that's what they do with us. I want to ask you something though, Mike, before we move along here. Did you always want to be an author? Was this something that was on your plate way back before spiritualism kind of invaded your universe?
Never ever thought I was going to be an author until, again, in one of the sessions, Claudette said, I see you writing books. I see you writing anywhere from 3 to 10 books. And I thought, what? Like I never, ever had I ever thought that that was going to be. So there's 2 down, and yeah, we'll see where it goes from there.
Is there going to be a third book though? Are you already in the planning stages of a third book?
Again, we come back to Claudette, and she had mentioned to me after one of the circles, one of the sessions, one of our workshops, that she said, you know, you've written a book. She said, I've often considered about or wondered about writing a book. And I had mentioned to her, I said, well, if you ever need any help, just let me know. I'll see what I'll be glad to help you. And sure enough, she came to me and said, yeah, I'd like to do that. And so we wound up meeting. She was in Penticton, living in Penticton at this time. And we wound up having Skype sessions every 2 weeks and going through her story, her life story. We taped it all, and I started transcribing a lot of it, and so I'm pretty sure that's going to be the third book. It's going to be, I mean, I know she's passed on, but I've got a lot of information and a lot of resources that the two of us went through, and well, I know she's already, I think, bugging me from the other side, saying, "Don't forget that book's coming up." And I said, "Yeah, I know, but."
I do believe that Claudette chose you. I truly believe Claudette chose you to be her vessel for her story. And I say that because there are times I feel Claudette when we're doing certain works, we feel her come through, as we do spirits that we become involved with. And one of the most beautiful things about what she's, and I say this with so much love, what she's provided for you is that true ability to tap into the spiritual self, because I've seen your paintings too, your spirit art, and they're phenomenal. They're beautiful. The trust of self that you're working on, my friend, that is also a beautiful thing to watch, because I've listened to you say, well, but in reality, you still push forward. And tell us a little bit about the painting. Describe what it feels like. I know you said at the beginning that, when we were chatting a little bit, you said, and that led to spirit art. You said that was difficult. Tell us about that.
Well, my guides had told me we want you to get into this spirit art, and this is going to be a part of your mediumship. And I said, okay, well, I'll give it a go. And so I would sit there with my meditation, and then I would grab my pad, and I started out with these oil pastels. I could blend them with my finger and that. And I looked at them, I thought, oh my God, these are crude. I mean, these are just like, I do landscape painting, but I don't do portraits or anything. And they said, you got to stick with it. And I did for a little while. And then I thought, I just don't see where this is going. Like, these things look terrible, and I'm not really connecting. And I actually gave up on it a little while, but they just kept pressing on me and pressing on me and pressing on me, to the point where I started doing it more. And I went over to pencils, and they were getting better. And after about 1.5 years, I got into, I think I mentioned these pan pastels, which are like, very easy to blend. You got a tool, and they worked really well for me. And I really noticed a difference. I thought, wow, I'm getting it now. Like, I'm really getting a good image of somebody here, and I'm starting to connect better with these energies and that. I'm getting information, I'm getting names, and I'm getting the chills right now. I'll show you one. This is one of Abraham that I told you.
Oh, wow. Look at that definition. I don't think you give yourself enough credit, buddy. I don't. That's amazing. So that's your guide.
That's my guide, Abraham. Yeah, that just came through to me. And yeah, I've got tons of them here now going. They're from all walks of life. Yeah.
So, can I ask you then? Sorry to interrupt, but can I ask you what the purpose of them then is? Is this something that you could do for someone, bring in, because there are mediums that use the medium art to bring in loved ones. They'll draw paintings. Some of them are fabulous. I've worked with some that I was like, wow, that's outstanding. Others, I'm like, okay, so that's pretty defined. So to me, that's an individual. So yeah. Are you planning to use this work to work with people? Like, what is the next step?
I think that's where it's going. Yes. Like 𝐔𝐩𝐜𝐬𝐧𝐠 is a very well-known spirit artist in the UK and that, but I've seen a little bit of her stuff. But yes, I think that's what I'm going to be doing. I think I'm going to be, like you read or give messages to people and that sort of thing. I think I'm going to be sitting with somebody and getting messages, and also doing whoever that is coming through to them. I think that's where it's heading. So
That is amazing. And you know that I'm an empowerment medium. You know that everything for me is how we speak our truths. What you're going to do is you're going to take out the word I think and say, this is what I'm going to do, because I
yeah.
feel it with every ounce of my being. And do you find that that's your easiest way of doing the mediumship work and connecting to spirit is through the painting?
I mean, my writing is what always connects me. I'm so used to doing it now for a few years that I automatically start writing in the morning. The first thing I do is I get my little notebook after meditation and talk to my guide and say, like, if it was, in this case, it's Serena, and I say, is there anything you'd like to say today? And she'll say, yes, blah, 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 what's your diet or something, or something like that.
Well, first, someone's got to look out for you.
That's right. Yeah, she'll, whatever it is she has that she needs me to know, she will come through. And I always do that through the writing. But now I'm also starting to get words and things. I don't see the word, more like telepathy.
Yeah.
I'm not hearing a voice or anything, but I'm getting words. Like I have connected to people on the other side, like my father or friends and stuff like that. And but yeah, it's usually through the writing. But now this art thing is definitely taken off. So and what it is I just sit down and I get the pastels and I don't know what's coming out. Sometimes I start with the hair, sometimes I start with the shape of the face, sometimes it's the eyes. I never know where it's going to go, and I just start going and it just flows. I always feel like it's them working through me. This is what I look like. And
well, that's it. That would be it.
Yeah, put the marks here and put the, my eyes are this and that, and I'm always amazed at the end of what, oh wow, that really came together. And like I have no thoughts of what's going on when I'm doing it.
I think that's a really special way for some people to get their messages, is to be able to have that portrait, that picture, and to be able to say, hey, look, mom's here, and this is what mom has to say. Right. I think that's a very beautiful. I would love to have you back on maybe a special event where we could see the work that you do and how you connect to people. I think people would really, I know people would really, really love that energy. And it's such a beautiful gift to give to someone. I mean, messages are always a beautiful gift. I was at the Spiritualist Church last night with 𝐔𝐸𝐬𝐬, a beautiful trance medium, and Lynn White, a beautiful medium as well, both good friends of mine. And we were just giving messages and we were popping and we were doing that. But, to have that sit down experience. And here's the other really fun thing that I feel about this is that literally people could just call you up and say, hey, Mike, I'd like you to connect with someone for me, please. Get back to me when you can, and you can work in your own space, not only to have them sitting there, necessarily waiting for you, because that can be all sorts of kind of anxiousness for the person, not for you. You'll be in your medium stage, so that won't bother, but the other person waiting. And so there's so many platforms and ways that you can use that modality. Mike, again, I am so pleased that you have fallen into your spiritual self. Bless Claudette for coming through. Bless, Stacy for coming into your life and providing
Absolutely.
providing that space. There's nothing more exciting to me than when you guys tell your story of meeting at one of my events at Serendipities. That just warms my heart. And I always feel to myself like I've had a little bit of something in there that had my flavor to it for you. I would love for you to do some work with us in different capacities, showcase to the audience, to the beautiful people that are looking for that proof of evidence, life beyond death, that you and I know with every ounce of our being. Mike, what are the name of your two books and how do people find them, please?
Guided Messages from the Other Side and Guided Teachings from Spirit. You can find them on, I've got an Instagram account, Mike_Ellis_author. And on Facebook, there is one Guided Messages from the Other Side, which I set up a few years ago. But The publishing company that I did this through set one up for me on Facebook called Mike Ellis Medium, which I didn't, they just set it up that way. And I said, wow, that's really throwing me out there, isn't it? Like, and they said, well, we didn't know what to put. We thought, well, Mike Ellis Medium, we can always change it later. And I thought, well, no, let's keep it for now. Let's keep it for now. We'll keep it for that way.
I call you the intuitive medium and author, because that is what you are. We'll have to throw in painting at some point. Mike, we will have all your information for everyone in this. I hope that you join, the Spirit Essence Collective. Come in there, show some stuff in the group. It's a private Facebook group. Anyone that's watching this, please join our Facebook group. It's a bevy of talented, authentic individuals that all have different ways of working with spirit. I handpick everyone that comes into that group as a practitioner, and join us, the Spirit Essence Collective. Mike, I can't thank you enough.
Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, lovey. Much love. We'll talk soon.
You bet. Bye.